It's 7 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Everyone is here. Mrs. Rafferty, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. The first item we have is the minutes from the December 9th meeting and also the minutes from the special meeting on January 8th. I think Suzanne emailed those to everyone, I believe.
6 copies you might have. I didn't get any.
Got a couple.
I would move to approve the minutes from January or from December 9th. I wasn't here for the other meeting, so I obviously read them, but I don't know if there's anything that wasn't correct. So I would make a motion to approve the December 9th meeting minutes.
So
I'll second December 9th, then I'll move to approve the special.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Been moved and seconded to approve both sets of minutes. In two separate motions. Is there any discussion or comments? Those in favor of approving both sets of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Mr. Hankins, would you introduce the guests or let the teachers introduce the guests?
It may take a little while. We have a lot of people in here. SD Aiken is here, Casey Elliott, Peter Rafferty, Hunter Wigan, Emma Lovis, Devin Meyer, Amelia Warren, Jordan Ferguson, Leah Keneally, Mrs. Van Slyke, Noel Meyer, Ryan Gibson, Rowdy Madison, excuse me, and then Caleb Iro. We can't forget Jason Phelan. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, no. I was checking around to make sure it didn't. I got everybody.
Okay, everyone is here tonight. Mrs. Rafferty and Mrs. Van Slyke's students. I'm going to go ahead and move number 6.1 up to right now. So, Carolyn or Katie, if you guys want to go ahead and.
We're really excited. Thank you. We're really excited. We've got 9 students headed to All Northwest in Spokane, Washington here in a few weeks. So for both band and choir. You guys want to introduce yourselves really quick and say what you play and what you sing. Hunter.
Hunter Wigan. I'll be playing in the All Northwest band, playing trombone here. I went as freshman as well, so this is my second time. Hello, my name is Severin Meyer. I'm a senior, and I will be playing in the All Northwest band as a flute player.
I play bass clarinet, and this is the first time playing in the wind symphony.
My name is Elizabeth Warren. I'm a sophomore and I will be singing soprano today. My name is Sheridan Ferguson. I'm a junior and I will be singing soprano 2 at all. My name is Emma Lovis. I am a junior and I will be singing alto 1.
I'm a sophomore and I will be singing soprano 2 in the treble chorus.
My name is Casey Phelan and I will be playing the flute in the All Northwest Wind Symphony. This is also my second time going, but I got required this time, so it's cool to do both.
We're really excited to take them. They auditioned from along with like thousands of kids from Washington, Wyoming, and Alaska. Yes. So we're selected from all of those applicants, which is really awesome. They'll be learning their music shortly. We're still waiting on it to show up, so hopefully it gets here soon. But they're looking forward to that. They'll rehearse with the big groups for 2 days, 2.5 days while we're there. And then there will be a big gala concert for both choir and band the evening of that Saturday. So then we'll truck on home. But we're really excited to take them and really proud of all their hard work and all they've accomplished. And tonight we're seeking permission to take them out of the state to do these things. So
Katie, is this one of the larger groups that we've taken?
It is, I think last time we had 10 and this year we're 9, so yes, it was items or so. But thank you.
And also while we're on the seeking permission to go out of the state, the choirs are going to be going to the Barbershop Festival in Rexburg again, and it'll be February 28th this year. And we will be taking all the kids, so the girls will sing in a Sweet Adeline's choir, and the boys will be singing in the Barbershop choir. It's a full day of rehearsal, and they have lunch, bring sack lunch, and then you'll take them to Pizza Pie Cafe. All you can eat pizza, they'll be happy. And then we go back for a concert and all the schools perform together. And then we have a professional barbershop group that'll perform for them. And then we'll head home that night. So
It'll be on back.
it'll be a down and back, a long day. I would want to try to hotel that many kids would be awesome. So it's a down and back and a very fun, exciting day. And we're looking forward to taking them across to Idaho. Exactly.
Good luck to everyone and congratulations, and we will vote on the out-of-state travel under action items later in the meeting, but it's never been a problem in the past. We should be okay. So thank you very much and welcome to stay as long as you'd like, or you need to exit or have other things to do. That's certainly fine as well. So thank you for coming. Yes, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, our next item of business then would be the back up to number 4, the review and approval of claims and accounts. Megan?
So it's sitting next to you, you'll see the bright blue paper. On the very first page, at the very bottom, 19905 BMO MasterCard for $20,619.01. You'll remember that we did have probably an extra week and a half in this board cycle because we were earlier the last previous board meetings, and so now we're getting back on schedule. And so you'll look on there. There's a wide variety of different expenses, from transportation to grant to Christmas and gifts. So normally we give at Christmas time a gift card to the staff in appreciation for what we do. We did decide this year to do a sweatshirt, to do a little Dylan Beaver logo sweatshirt. It was very well received and very well appreciated by those staff members. And it actually ended up being a little bit cheaper, so that was a benefit too. So anyways, if you have any questions on any of that, any of those individual charges, let me. On page 2, and it is front and back, again, down towards the bottom, 19909, Kim search for $1,547.99. This is a little bit more expensive than normal. We ran out of the annual add-in that we are required to add into the boiler. They only sell it by 5-gallon jugs from what, in talking to Mr. Bergerson. And so he said that the $1,000 Chem Aqua will actually last us for, well, he said his lifetime. So that's true. That's what he said. I said 20 plus years. So we'll see, but he said that that's the only way that they sell it, and it's just something that just have to add in every month. But we have it for a good time. Obviously, we haven't had to purchase it for a little while. So. 19910, City of Dillon Lights, and then I'm going to couple that with 19911, the City of Dillon Parks. So every year we are assessed our portion of the Dillon city lights, street maintenance, park maintenance, those different types of things. I know in talking to Suzanne, the City of Dillon Parks one has been $1,500 for a good number of years. And so it's just kind of that annual thing. She did say that it normally comes out in October, early November, but it is a little bit late this year, but it's just our annual assessment of those things. On page 3 at the very top, 19913 Crowley Fleck for $3,900. That's just help and support in navigating the construction project. So that's there. 19918 DPHHS for $4,933.68. That's part of the CSCT match. You'll notice that we have another one at the end, which is the Yellowstone Boys and Girls. That's all part of our YDPR program, where we do get that money. We pay that out, but we get that money in reimbursement. And Suzanne and I were looking just to make sure, we just like to check from time to time to make sure that we are getting that reimbursement back. And looking at the end of last year, it's just really kind of weird how it's assessed and when it comes in, and it's just kind of really hard to track. And so the best way for us to really look at it is at the end of the year, just to see, where we're at there, and it looks like we're getting what we're supposed to. So on page 4, about midway down, 19926 Jerry Wessel Tire Center for $2,387. That was just for tires for one of our buses, and so out of transportation. Going on down, 19929 Northwest Energy Company for $10,722.00. That's gas and electricity for December. Obviously, we finally hit a little bit of cold weather, and so we started to see that climb. I think it was about $3,000 increase from the previous month. But looking at past years at December, we might even be a little bit ahead, and not being as high as what maybe it was in December. So again, a big jump, which we expected, but on par for what is normal. 19930 Pacific Steel and Recycling for $3,305.13. And that's for welding steel. Obviously, we're getting ready to end the first semester, which just seems crazy, and getting geared up to start the second semester. So just getting his supplies back replenished for the start of the second semester for his those credit welding. On page 5, towards the top, 19933 Shell Energy North American for $7,962.03. You'll notice that that's for both November and December. Again, our meeting was early last year or last month, and so what's that? Was last year. It was last year, right? And so that is 2 months worth there. Then if you go on the back page, on page 6 at the top, Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch for $7,617.88. Again, that's part of that YBGR reimbursement that we will get back. Last year, we didn't see in a lot of months that we had both of those, and that was because we didn't have a therapist and a behavioral specialist. Now we've got a full team, and so therefore it charges at different from different places. And so, and all of that is a reimbursement, and it's definitely a very added benefit to what we do here. And then the last one that I highlighted was 19942, the Zonar system for $1,784. This is 2 months worth. Again, normally it's just a month's worth, but again, where the board meeting fell, that's where that is, and that's why we had 2 months worth. And again, that's just the monthly subscription to utilize that software. So those were the ones that I highlighted. Obviously, there's some other ones that are in there. So if there's something that you would like clarification on, otherwise, I would recommend you approve the payments.
We move to approve the expenditures presented.
Second. Then moved and seconded to approve the claims and accounts as presented. Are there any discussion or questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item of business is public comment communication. I have a card here from the Polaris School. It says, Caleb and students, thank you so much for making our incredible sign. It's just what we needed and is going to last beautifully. Thank you again. be the Polaris School System, and here's a metal sign that the BOAG department made, or FFA, which one?
And it was a welding class. So
Okay.
check it out on the way up the ski hill.
That's really neat, Caleb. Thank you for you and your students for doing that. That's really looks nice.
I think that honestly, they will take pride in as they come back to the community. They're really like, hey, I was a part of that, you know?
That's pretty neat.
Good job.
Thank you. I think Megan had a comment.
Yes, I just wanted to thank the board and obviously the staff for the support that they showed me as we.
Thinking of you the whole time, so.
Very well felt, or very well felt and very, very well appreciated.
Any other public comment or communication? Seeing none, we'll go on to the superintendent's report. Megan.
So we already did 6.1, so we'll go to 6.2. So bus pay possibilities. So hopefully you'll remember at an earlier meeting, I brought up the concerns surrounding how we pay our activity bus drivers. Included in your packet is a copy of a payment structure that we currently use to pay our drivers. When we factor in the hours they are gone, it works out to be somewhere between $10.30 an hour and $12 an hour. Obviously, minimum wage was recently increased to $10.55. So those few that were being paid out at the $10.30 will increase to that $10.55. So we'll ensure that that lowest that is paid is at least the $10.55. We have very few incidents where the hourly rate works out to be this low, but there have been a few. Our activity costs come out of the general fund, so I just think it's important to note that it is different than that transportation fund. So it does come out of our general fund and is therefore not permissive levy. And so it's a matter of it's not just a matter of increasing that budget. So Suzanne has been doing a little bit of research to see what other schools are paying. And although we are not the lowest, we are definitely at the bottom. And obviously we're very proud of our bus drivers and all the things that they do and the number of activities that we have on the roads on any given day is tremendous. And so we definitely would like to see if there's something that we can do to try to increase that. So I'd love to work out a plan to increase this pay, but need to ensure that we're able to make it work in our current and future general fund budgets. I would like to discuss this in more detail at an activity committee meeting and then bring a proposal that makes sense to the full board in February or March. Again, we have just a tremendous group of bus drivers. Honestly, they enjoy what they do. They love, doing it. They're not doing it for the money, but at the same time, their time is valuable and we want to show them that we do appreciate them. And I feel that it would be important that we do what we can to ensure that we can keep them, and finding a way to increase this pay amount will help retain drivers, but also might increase interest in becoming a bus driver. At one point, Mark Boca and Royce Vall said we're going to be here. I did visit with them just a little bit. They were unaware that we had been in the works or plans to talk about it. And so when they heard that, they felt comfortable with the fact that I would represent them, or that the board would understand where they are coming from. And again, it's not because they're trying to make a living on it. They just want to be to cover their time, if that makes sense. And so obviously, as I said, that range does end up being between about $10.30 and about $12 an hour. Most commonly, it is around the $12 an hour. Suzanne has done a little bit of research that she was going to share just a little bit to the full board. And then I think we're going to try to have an activity committee meeting on Wednesday of next week at 5 o'clock as one of the agenda items, is to just really try to talk about a plan for what that looks like. And some of that's going to include things like, do you pay them, what driving time, what time do you pay them from the time they leave the bus barn, to the time that they get back to the bus barn? Is there variation between driving time and, while they're sitting and watching games? Because of course they do go and enjoy and do those different types of things, but there still has to be pay involved. And so just really kind of looking at as many different options as we possibly can to create a fair system that we can sustain. And so
When is the last time we increased them? Can anybody remember? I don't, Mike, do you?
Remember, it's been quite a while.
Chris, can you remember? I can't. It's been a long time. I mean, if there's any way to increase them, I think we can. Did you find anything that showed when we increased them the last time?
I at least think it was before Ramona was here. We have an interesting like base schedule almost as it is, like, and I
And I think it's in here, so it's in your, and it's the less than 8 hours at $8, at 8 to 12 hours, over 15 hours. And Suzanne has done a really nice job in that, you know, they do log certain hours when they go. And so she's really trying to convert that into what it is an hour while they're gone, instead of just doing the 8 to 12, 120, so that they're seeing it more clearly per hour as to what they're making based on the range that we have there. And so, and again, obviously we have overnight trips and those different types of things. So it's just really a conversation about, you know, kind of what that looks like in trying to increase that. And again, balancing it with being able to make it work in the budget.
I really apologize. I forgot to print that paper. I had done a whole spreadsheet of some responses from our clerk forum. I bet there's probably 15 responses from schools, and I do remember the average pay was like $16.60. Yes, and a lot of them are paying hourly. I have switched how I do it in payroll to be paying hourly rather than like by the trip as it was before. So not only is it more accurate in my eyes, we're also reporting it to PERS more accurately for actual hours worked where it wasn't before. But I think that we can definitely find a way to make it better for our drivers, make them feel better about what they're doing.
Do you have any idea how much annually it costs us? This rate, how much we're paying out?
Yes, I have that too. Was it 45,000?
It's between 45 and 50,000.
And that'd be difficult for next week.
And of course, yeah,
That's at an average of $10.30.
it's, well, I would say that the $10.30 is the rare occasion. For the most part, I would say that most consistently we're right around that $12 an hour when we're paying those. And just kind of looking through the time cards as I'm signing them, and just in those conversations with Suzanne. And so, you know, trying to get it upwards of, you know, $15 an hour to $16 an hour. I mean, you're talking about a significant increase, and you know, trying to look at different ways to do that. And I mean, and some of the things that we have to talk about are things like right now we ask our kids to buy a one-time activity pass for $50, and that allows them to participate in any activity that they need to participate or that are interested in participating in. And of course, if they are in a postseason, that also gives them meals, you know, and it also gets them into every home activity. And if you talk across the state, you're going to hear from a wide range of different things, but you're talking anywhere $50. I think you'd be hard pressed to find many schools that are at $50 for all activities. You're probably talking more regularly between $75 to even $150 per student per year, those different types of things. And again, that is our music pays that, our any of our activity travel pays that activity fee. And so yeah, it's just one of the ways that we could, you know, generate some extra money that can go towards helping to support that. And again, always finding ways to break down barriers for if that cost is a barrier for those students to participate, finding a way to make sure that barrier doesn't exist, and we find ways to help those students that need that extra support if we do increase that. And again, it's just looking at all of those different things. And so, and you know, if we increase that, what does that look like in terms of dollars? And then comparing that with, you know, taking what our current trips are, adding, you know, $3 an hour additional, I mean, if you're talking, it ends up being a pretty significant chunk of money that we're looking at doing. I don't think it's outside of the box of what we can figure out a way to do that. I mean, obviously there's fundraising opportunities, those different types of things. And so anyways, I do think it's necessary. I do think it's a priority to look at. Obviously, it would be difficult to get it done in this budget year with the budget already set the way that it is. But if we can show good faith in moving in that direction, I think that again, our bus drivers would appreciate that. So, and again, I do think that it would help to recruit bus drivers in the future. So,
And they're taking care of our most precious cargo, so it's like.
and in sometimes not the most ideal circumstances.
Absolutely.
That some of you know.
Absolutely.
And so,
Ralph, is that something we're talking about at this activities meeting then?
and so just really starting that conversation and hopefully by the end of the year, coming up with a plan and being able to put that into the budget for next year, so that we can ensure that we can responsibly do that. And again, it might look at, in that activity or, some of those different types of things. And again, with a very strong message that never do we want to create a barrier for students to be able to participate. And other things that have been brought up, there are not a lot of schools out there that pay for meals during the postseason. And we still do that. And we do it at the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some schools that do it might only do dinner. I mean, so there's ways that we can look at different things. And again, I'm not saying that that's the direction that we go. And again, that's obviously asking more burden on the individual families. But at the same time, if we find a balance to try to allow that to help us pay our bus drivers a little bit more, I think that it's important.
Well, the activity committee will look at that with Mr. Millimaki's help and try to report back to the board.
And I will say, our route drivers are paid in comparison to the state. We do a very nice job of, paying our route drivers. And so if we can bump that activity travel up, see that would go on.
And Tara Lynn had spreadsheet bus trips last school year, so the year it's 23-24 year. And if we paid $15 an hour on those hours, it was, I think, an increase of 15,000.
Do a kind of more. So if you do have suggestions on that, or you have ideas and maybe you're not a part of the activities committee, I sent that out. I believe it is Mike and Gary. Am I right on that?
Bill.
And Phil. Mike, Phil, and Gary. And so just let them know if you've got ideas or suggestions on how we can do that, or maybe just add your support that that's what we should be doing, is moving in that direction. I don't have that as an action item today. I just wanted to kind of talk about it here so that we could prepare to look at that. All right, 6.3, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Millimaki.
Right. In your guys' packets there, the MHSA annual meeting is coming up. Yes, we have a few new board members. So the annual meeting is kind of where the membership, which consists of all the schools that participate in MHSA sanctioned sports, get together and vote on any proposals changing, the bylaws and rules and regulations that kind of govern our activities that are sanctioned by MHSA. The first one being proposed is to allow 8th graders to participate both in the middle school and high school concurrently. Currently, you cannot participate in high school and middle school in that same sport if that season's going on. I would, my proposed vote is that no, I think it'd be very hard for our kids to play basketball at the middle school, play basketball at high school for us. Obviously, I'm guessing this is driven by the Class Cs, and the majority of the votes lie there. So I'm guessing there's a need for them to do that. But I would say for our situation,
Turn into an equity issue down the road too. Like, our junior high what's their basketball season, so it would always only affect maybe one gender. So with the basketball, it might just be that the boys would get the opportunity to play both the middle school and the high school season, which again could turn into a challenge if it doesn't coincide. And I could be wrong, but
That's strong. So,
And if you have any questions, just please. Number two proposal in high school, it's kind of the transfer rule. They want to put a stipulation that if you transfer within a 50-mile radius of the school you're moving into, you'll be out that many public instruction days. And I see where they're coming from, but that would limit, if we got a student from Quinn Bridges District moved up here to Dillon, they wouldn't be able to participate.
Even if the family moved?
Yeah, even if the family.
Oh, even if the family, yes. So,
I would propose no for that as well. Obviously, they're fighting some different stuff. I think all the towns close to there. But. Number three, this is looking to increase the award received for, I guess we could say, student athletes. That would increase from $100 to $500. That's not cash. That would be a gift certificate or gear or something along those lines. I don't see a need for that. I think that kind of carries into the proposal 4, where they're looking at adding NIL to high school athletics.
Really?
Yeah. So I think you're just kind of opening another door to the potential to NIL in high school. So I would propose to vote no there and also vote no for the NIL. So high school activities.
it's interesting because it's an MHSA program, which I'm sure follows the National Federation, but I just can't imagine they want to open that door. Colleges are having a hard time managing that, let alone a bunch of high schools.
You start looking at some of our private schools, then you start collectives and stuff like that. Already have some issues. So could be really challenging, but see where it goes. I know it's on the state legislative session this year. I'm sure the case. So I would propose no for the NIL, number 4. Number 5 is a proposal by the MHSA. It would be if an official or a game administrator were to kick somebody out of an event, a game, something like that, it would follow a 3-game suspension for whatever that activity is, or move it to the next season. Currently, there is no guidelines. They kind of leave it up to school. So setting a standard across the state, I think, is a must and a need. If you get kicked out a second time, you're done for the year. So I would, yeah, I am in favor of that. And then the number 6 proposal is for our physical exams. Currently, you have to get a physical every year. This proposal is to move that to every 2 years. And on those off years, having kind of an intern history form filled out. I reached out to our providers or a few of the providers at the hospital to get their, special opinion on that. They're reviewing it right now. The initial just looking at it, they were probably in favor of that. But as soon as they get back to me, I would like to vote whatever their professional opinions. So, like always, when we go to these meetings, we find out a lot of different perspectives and information on something when they're presented to us. Just ask for your. I think you haven't changed my voting, but it would be. Okay. Any questions for any of those? Go ahead, Ms. Lowe.
Okay, thank you.
I am going to shift around a little bit because we do have, and I should have thought of that prior to, so I'm sorry about that. We do have a number of people that are here from Montana Western and Mr. Igo that's here. So I just would like to go to 6.6. So UMW BCHS MOU and facility agreement for Montana Western to do an adult education welding course in our facility. And so at the December board meeting, we discussed the possibility of a partnership with UMW to allow them to use their welding facility and equipment to teach an adult education course this winter. Spring. Included in your packet is a copy of the MOU, the facility lease agreement that we have developed that I'm working on developing. Montana School Boards Association is still providing some information on that. In a proposed stipend for Mr. Igo, the stipend will cover the extra responsibility of the time that he will spend making sure that equipment, material, and facility is ready for them to teach the class. I reached out to, again, Montana School Boards Association and our insurance company to review these documents. I did hear back from our insurance company, and the insurance that they provided is sufficient to what they would need from a risk management perspective. Montana School Boards Association, actually, with Andrew Veland, is supposed to get back to me. I thought that he would get back to me today. He hasn't. My hope is that I will have that tomorrow. But Caleb and Ryan are here, as well as SD Aiken, to answer any questions that you guys might have in regards to this partnership. I believe that this will be a positive for both UMW and BCHS. Again, if you support this partnership, we will review the documents at the end of the meeting and make any changes that are needed. Approval of the MOU and the facility agreement will need to be approved in the action at this meeting. And again, I don't have the final copy, so I would ask that if you guys are comfortable with the suggestions that Montana School Boards Association worked out, that we could go ahead and move forward with that if you chose to go down the path of this partnership. So
Thank you. Thank you first for entertaining this proposal to partner. ST and I, through the School of Outreach, who oversees our 2-year mission at the college, have hoped for a long time and try to design ways that we can offer welding, not only for our students, but for the community. That's part of our charge and our mission through University of Montana Western and the School of Outreach. And Caleb and I have talked about this for a long time, trying to figure out, and as you guys well know, he's all in 360 degrees in welding and FFA, and there's really no off season for what he does. So really appreciative of that, but those conversations really came to light. He's not able to at this time. And so we started looking in some other directions. And so we last spring put in, we also write Carl D. Perkins funds through the feds, and we partner with BCHS on other avenues that we use those funds. And we looked at a model that MSU Great Falls does with a mobile welding trailer. We looked at Gallatin College and their partnership with Bozeman High School, and we looked at those 2 models. And being cognizant of using somebody else's facilities and the wear and tear and the things that you can't guarantee won't happen, we decided to look at a mobile welding trailer to bring in to use on our site and get things going, with the idea that we really are going to give it our best faith effort over like a 3-year period to really see if Western's demand really is there, and that we can supply and really fulfill what we perceive to be the demand for welding for our students in our business, farm, and ag program, our ag students that are in other programs, and our community just at large. Caleb does a great job with the students that come through his program, but it's limited because only do as many as the classroom will allow. So we went down a path with the mobile welding trailer. It is really high stakes. It's 3 times as much as what we really were prepared to roll out, and it's not long-term or even short-term financially feasible. And so
think it was November, I called up Megan and said, can we look at this again? I know it's not the best timing to ask that of Megan and BCHS to consider. So thank you for even accepting the call and considering it and seeing if we could partner again. And I think some of the things that changed, the instructor that we have secured is Cassidy Ganan. She is the ag teacher in line. And she actually, Caleb and Cassidy knew each other prior, on a professional basis. And I think that helps to know who might be in your space. We're asking a lot, not only of BCHS and facilities, but also Caleb's classroom. And, you know, it's public property, but he takes good ownership of it. And we want to make sure that we also take seriously that charge. So we've had some conversations about what that would look like. And we proposed a lease of $20,000 to BCHS for the use of the space. That comes with, you know, energy costs and wear and tear that will happen on the equipment. The extra pieces that we're asking Caleb Igo to do, there's an extra, as Megan had referred to, an extra stipend to address the extra pieces that Caleb's willing and offered to do without asking for that stipend. We hope to recognize that work that he's doing, and see if this first offering this spring, it's a 12-week offering starting January 28th and ending April 18th. It's 3 nights a week. 2 weeks are kind of blackout weeks, one for state FFA and one for Western spring break. So there are 10 weeks of instructional time that will be seeing up to 16 students, blended of Western students and community members that will be taking the course. So we appreciate you considering this. We know that it's not ideal to be this close to the deadline. And we hope that, you know, I'm here to address any questions you have, any concerns. I feel like we have a playbook that's already been there. Gallatin College and Bozeman High School have done this partnership at least 10, maybe 15 years that they've done it before Gallatin College did their own. We would like to see if we can do this. We could maybe do something of our own and not be of that long wear and tear on Caleb, but we would like to see this happen, see where we can go with it this year, and then address how it went at the end of April and address any concerns and issues.
I think it's a great idea. Be a way for the high school to help pay back things to the college and get some townspeople and some students the ability to learn the profession. I think would be neat.
So just if you don't mind me asking, so $20,000 basically covers the shop. And what about supplies, loading
Thank you.
and materials, and even welding equipment itself?
Yes. So steel and major materials like that, we have discussed an approach where Caleb and Cassidy would work together on what those orders would be, and would kind of go together on that. Western would purchase our larger steel and materials. The finer pieces like stuff that's hard to go undo in the machines and then reload for the next class. Caleb has designed kind of an idea of taking kind of inventory at the end. He knows over the last years what his average is, and then, you know, would bill Western for the overage on that average. If I kind of set it
right, like, you know, if I was using 10 bottles of gas, say just to make it simple, per month, and then all of a sudden now I'm using 15 bottles, well, that's pretty safe to assume that probably that difference is on Western, and we'll settle up on the gas bill with General Distributing at the end of the deal, and we'll evaluate constantly kind of if it's working and where course fees are at.
Yeah, and we also want to know those extras, because if we do plan to put in a welding shop through our program, we need to know those extras as well. So that was part of the conversation. So the 20,000 is the use of the space, the assumed wear and tear. We also discussed potential large scale pieces that aren't your normal wear and tear. That would, it's hard to define those in an MOU or a lease agreement because you can't foresee what exactly that could mean. But SD, I'm sure will support me on this. Western doesn't, we're in this to be a partner, and if something were to, a piece of equipment were to be down, we need to be replaced so that he can get to the end of his semester, we will do what we can to replace that. It's under our watch, those types of things. And there will, we anticipate there might be things that fall out of that we would come together and have those conversations.
And obviously sharing those additional, like Caleb, you mentioned, sharing those additional costs and direct costs, but then also investments in the infrastructure to continue to do positive, things in that program for our students as well. So I think that, the partnership could be very beneficial, and I think obviously an open line of communication will be extremely important as we continue to go through, as we're testing it for this first time. And again, I really had no idea that it was going to take so much time to get back feedback from the information that was sent, but it just happens like that. And so hopefully we will get those things. Like we said, we did take Gallatin County or Gallatin College of Technology, is that what it's called? Structure kind of, and then just kind of fine tune it to meet what we were looking at to cover the indirect costs as well as the direct costs of trying to do the partnership.
50 seats cheap. Or of course, B.
That's what I told her too.
It is cheap.
My God.
Why not stay
I
there?
don't.
Our inaugural course does include, startup funds, if you will, through Perkins grants.
It's highly subsidized right now.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Get in while it's early. So soon enough now.
Is that student and adult cost?
No, the course fee is for materials only.
Oh, gotcha.
The course for a community member is $14.50. That includes the $150 course fee. Our students at Western pay the Western tuition and fee.
More credit fee.
How many people are we looking at?
16 is what our max is. We had set that when we were running with the mobile welding trailer, which has 8 bays. Can't quite do all the things that Caleb's classroom can do. We were prepared to make that work. But we're looking at a much more extreme cost than I think it's fiscally responsible for federal dollars, really, in those cases. So this was we re-entered in that now that we know the instructor, and we're able to kind of think about it, and would really love for your agreement to see where this goes. And this is for the spring. We'll see, re-enter and reevaluate where that is, and if it worked well, should it continue, and those types of things. Right now, our 3-year, it's a 3-year plan, and maybe run 3 classes in a year. We are Beaverhead County. We hope to draw from Madison County and maybe Salmon, Idaho. Like it could draw, and what is that demand? And that's what we're really exploring before we invest high dollars in our own program. Any other questions or concerns? Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Good thing I like. Hopefully that's me.
Yeah. In MOU, obviously, the class starts the 28th. We were kind of in a time crunch. It took us a little bit of time to get the final information for Gallatin College because, of course, they were on winter break and just trying to get all of that information back. And like I said, I did hear from our insurance company right away, and they said they felt like the certificate of liability that we had was that expectation of what they needed. So now we're just waiting to hear and hopeful that obviously Gallatin and Bozeman do this, so hopefully, yeah. If anything, there's just a few little things that we might. So we recalls all of our candidates. Questions? Thank you. Caleb, anything from you?
I think it's phenomenal. I think Cassidy's a really sharp instructor. I think she's taking good care of us. One time she's right, you've kind of seen her. She rides with the build team from over there in Sheridan. It's a really great opportunity to get some community access and involvement and see what a nice facility we've got over there and to supplement some of our funding and take some pressure off the general fund for update and replacement and things on some machines. So Megan and I had kind of discussed how that funding might be used to update and improve machines for us to use and for Western to use. And everybody's got some nice equipment that we can hopefully keep and everybody benefits. So I'm excited. Right.
6.4 for semester test schedule. I just can't believe it, but I'm putting in a packet is a copy of the first semester test schedule, which this is our finals week this week. So it starts with a review session tomorrow, and the first finals start on Wednesday, January 15th, and they run through the 17th. On Friday, January 17th, is the last scheduled final that happens before lunch, and we will have makeup sessions for students who had to miss their final in the afternoon. Any students who complete all their finals and do not need a makeup session do not have to return to school after lunch, so they get out at about 11:30 per the schedule. However, our buses will run their regular schedule on those days, the finals, and that includes on Friday at 2:30. So I did put this out, obviously, to all the parents in email. We sent out a robocall. We've had our staff members talking to our students. Hopefully Casey can say that she's heard it a time or two about what the final schedule is so that the students can be successful. Obviously, looking through that, you'll see that it's quite different than what our normal schedule does look like. Students usually like this finals week because if you notice the lunch hours extend quite significantly. They've got some breaks here and there. All of it is designed to kind of create an atmosphere where the students can be successful. We don't ever have more than 3 finals on any given day. We do have review sessions that go along with those. So every final is preceded with a review session. Students are required to attend all review sessions. However, they are not required to attend finals where they don't get credit. So for example, if they're in a study hall, they don't have to sit in a study hall for 90 minutes. So they also love that part of the schedule because if they have a first period class, they don't have to come until later in the morning on the time where they have the final. And again, it just kind of flows nicely where the staff can get an opportunity to kind of assess where they were at and where they're at and what they learned and those different types of things before we shift and go to the second semester, which starts on Tuesday, January 1st, because we don't have school on yet. So anyways, anybody has any questions on that? This was one of the sheets that I sent them to families just so that they had that, and again posted it on the website just to try to provide as much information as we can. Obviously, our new students and our freshmen are the ones that are new to it. Our upperclassmen have done it a time or two, especially our seniors who have been doing it now for years. Any questions on that? All right, 6.5 graduate profile updates, parent survey and chamber survey. So included in your packet is a copy. Oops. Forgot to cross it off. Included in your packet is a copy of the updated graduate profile. I presented an initial copy at the December board meeting. These updates came from suggestions that we received in the survey that I sent out to our families and also the Beaver County Chamber. We really received a lot of positive feedback with a number of great suggestions that I've tried to address in this updated version. Some of the changes focused on the importance of leadership and communication, technology, math, wellness, and personal growth, and a better understanding of how we're going to ensure that these skills are being taught and learned. From our community and businesses, we saw a lot of interest in updating our current work study applications to include more internships and on-the-job training applications. I think that our graduate profile addresses having these skills, but updating our work study and work-based learning opportunities is an example of what we will be doing to ensure that students are graduating with these skills. I've talked to Mr. McCray, and I'm going to give this to our seniors just now as they're kind of facing that second semester of their senior year to kind of take a look and review this profile and try to provide us with some additional feedback from their perspective. I will be asking the board to approve this graduate profile later in the meeting, but with the flexibility to incorporate some of the changes that might come from the students' feedback. I have to have a board approved graduate profile in place with completing our state accreditation application. But I truly do believe that this is a working document always. It's just never something that is static. It's just something that's always changing depending on what the needs are of our students and our community. And, you know, as I said, I put that survey out to both Rebecca Jones, who's awesome at the chamber, and was able to get that out to all of our businesses, as well as sent it out in the email to all of our parents. I don't always get a ton of feedback, but a lot of times I get really powerful feedback that can be super positive. Obviously, you get your handful of people that have an axe to grind and want to, you know, just tell you everything that is wrong. And that's okay, because I think we learn from that too. I mean, I really do think that there's positive in looking at those different types of things and trying to identify relationships that we need to continue to build with our families and our business partners and our community. But also, it just really shed some light on some different things. So I kind of mentioned a couple of them, but I would say probably the largest areas that I received the most feedback was leadership, adding an emphasis to preparing graduates to lead and collaborate effectively in school, work, and community settings. Communication emphasis was a big one that I heard feedback from, broadening to include face-to-face interaction, written and workplace communication, and the ability to share and focus on ideas. Technology application, of course, we had that in there, but not necessarily super specific to on-the-job technology skills, as well as just everyday digital citizenship and good use of technology skills. So we tried to incorporate that. Some expansion in our academic skills, strengthening the focus on mathematical proficiency, analytical skills, and improving academic content. Not anything that was directed at like our math department, but just saying that as a general rule of thumb, we just need students to be more analytical, to be able to think of things a little bit differently from that sense. And so tried to add a little bit of that in there where it doesn't have to just be math that teaches some of those skills. They can learn that in their welding classes, in their, you know, business classes, and those different types of things. A life skills focus, enhancing the personal finance section. You will remember we do have a required financial literacy course, but just again, more emphasis on students being fiscally responsible and budget making, those different types of things, and including elements of personal and spiritual growth. Teacher and staff modeling, recognized as integral to developing habits such as punctuality, time management, and professionalism in students. And those were the most common things that we saw, and I just tried to incorporate and just kind of build off of kind of what we had. Again, the general consensus across the board was there was a lot of really great information in there. But again, what does that look like? So you'll notice down at the bottom, just that area where it talks about implementation strategies and just kind of talking about some of the things and some of the ways that we're going to try to incorporate that in there. Obviously, these are all skills that we try to teach in all of our things, but now that we kind of have them highlighted in a document, really utilizing this for things like when we're looking at adding courses, or we're looking at adding you know, workshops to our school academy groups and those different types of things, that this can be a working document that can kind of really help guide what we're doing, and can also be kind of a place where we can reflect on when we're surveying students that have graduated, you know, where we're meeting those expectations, maybe where we're falling a little bit short. And then identifying things like, one of the things that I heard from a couple of different business places was, a focus on four-year traditional schools shouldn't be the main focus. We need to broaden that, expand on some of those opportunities with apprenticeships and work-based learning, and trying to increase the wage that students are getting when they're entering the workforce, even if they're just right out of high school. And so, of course, that takes building a framework for that and kind of setting up what that framework might look like. And we've talked a lot about that with our dual credit, with our work-based learning, and now it's just a matter of kind of utilizing some of this information here to kind of build that framework for what that looks like, and to support and maybe bring some of those businesses to the table that say, you know what, I'd be interested in mentoring students, I'd be interested in apprenticeships, and kind of building some of those programs. So we're not just kind of pie in the sky looking for them. We already have some of these opportunities that we can now take. I've got a kid that's interested in welding. Oh, I've got possibly a great opportunity. We've already kind of built some of those relationships. So I think it has really the potential to build some community school relations, as well as, do some great things for our students. So moving forward. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on it or suggestions, but it was interesting to read through some of the feedback. Did I type something wrong? Did I spell it wrong? Okay, thank you. That I use doesn't have my red squiggly lines underneath of it, so I don't notice it because I used InDesign to do it. Resilient, I just spelled it as. Okay, thank you. I'll fix that before I put it out. Any other questions or thoughts? Let's see. So we already did 6.6, so 6.7, the 2025 legislative session. So currently it's underway. Montana School Boards Association will be covering a lot of the information and obviously advocating for public schools. You can follow along with their updates by accessing their account, your account in your Montana School Boards Association. If you need help signing in, please let me know. They have a number of priority bills that are highlighted with information on their purpose, the impact, the agenda. And they also have a link that allows you to kind of follow what's happening each day. I do think they're sending out an email daily, kind of as a recap of kind of what's happening, just so that you can kind of keep apprised of that. They will do some call to actions where they might ask for people to put feedback into our legislatures. And so I will try to, from at the board meetings, to provide some updates periodically as I get them. We do have new legislatures, so Senate District 35, Senator Tony Tezak, and House District 70, Representative Shannon Namus. So again, you get an opportunity to introduce yourself. Obviously, there's some really big things coming down, I think, in this legislative session that have the real potential to have impacts on public education. And so as we're kind of following what some of those different things are, asking questions and asking our representatives to hopefully, take into consideration what we do here and helping us out. So that is all I have.
Does anyone have any questions of Megan? If not, we'll go on to the assistant principal's report.
All right, lots of fun, exciting news here. Yeah, a breakdown of kind of the monthly consequences and stuff like that. So if you look here, January is a very good month so far. But it's kind of typical. Actually, December is going good. And then like right before break, that broke loose and it was in the air or what was happening, but nothing major. They're gonna miss school, I think, and that's where they were acting up. Decided if you look at the next page, incidents by day of the week. I think we need to go for a 4-day school week. But eliminate Tuesdays. Right. That would make everybody so much easier.
Why Tuesdays, any idea?
I have no idea why Tuesdays. So there's Tuesday, Monday, and it is getting heads up. I'd rather. Thought it was interesting that Tuesdays had such a spike in it. And then. A lot of times it's today, that's the night that we actually. And then once again, parties are the big thing. So there will be slowing down here now next month since the quarter is up, but we always continue to try to work with students and try to encourage them to show us in class and especially show the class on time. It seems the second semester seems hopefully to be better. Kind of in their groove and like, okay, I'm tired of getting Saturday school for nothing. In school suspension if we be, it's much easier to get class on. And then the next page is our average daily attendance. So we're basically, if you look month to month, we're still about 91% averaging out 91%. We have some good days, we have some not so good, it's not such good days. Probably one of our lowest ones was that it was 2 days right when we came back from break. A lot of students thought they should have a little longer break. It looks like days off in the sense. That's report in a nutshell. If there's questions, I'd be more than happy to try and. But I did want to go over the registration process for the 25-26 school year. So that's next school year. We're kind of early on in that process. We sent around the course guide to the teachers. So if they need to update their courses, add courses, subtract courses. Now is sort of the time that they need to be talking about that and getting the updates. We have scheduled, I believe it's February 20th, meet with the 8th graders and have an orientation with the 8th graders. And so when they're coming in to try to let them know what classes that they need to take, what classes they can take, and what we need to do to get them ready for the next school year. And then in March, the remainder of the upperclassmen will be registered for their classes for the 25-26 school year. Questions on that?
Thank you, Rob.
The use, possession of drugs, what's, you know what they are they marijuana or what? The 3 of them on there, all marijuana. I don't, that first, all these big parts, but THC based, yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda items then.
I think just one board consideration to approve the updated substitute list. So included in your packet is an update to the substitute list for this year. So 24-25 school year. It's great that we have had some additional individuals sign up. They are definitely critical to what we do. You will notice that there are some names that are highlighted yellow. We're still just waiting for background results. It would be my recommendation that you approve this updated list contingent on the results of their background check for those that are highlighted. All of them are on there, including those that you've already approved, but I just think it's important from time to time to continue to approve that list so that any new people that we have just been reviewed by the board. And of course, all of them go through background check fill out an application, those different things.
Make a motion to approve the substitute list.
Been moved and seconded to approve the updated substitute list. Is there any question or discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. The action item for you.
9.1 board consideration to approve the second and final reading of the updates to board policy 2410. So included in your packet is a copy of the updates that Mr. Hankins is recommending to the board for board policy 2410, the high school graduation requirements. These updates create a pathway that would allow students enrolled in the Montana Youth Challenge to earn a BCHS high school diploma. Adds Montana School Boards Association recommended language surrounding dual enrollment and also updates the language surrounding early graduation. At this time, I would recommend that you approve the second and final reading of Board Policy 2410. On approval, it would be an adopted policy and added to our current board policies. And you'll notice in there, highlighted in green is all of the new text that you guys have talked about. I think it's the last board meeting. You had talked about going about 10% above the high school equivalency exam, whatever that looks like. And so that is in there. And yeah, so this would just provide that pathway for those students to have the potential to earn a high school diploma if they met all of the criteria as a student.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the second and final reading of the updates to board policy 2014. Are there any questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimously.
9.2 board consideration to approve the MOU for UMW BCHS partnership to utilize our facilities and equipment to teach adult education classes. Again, included in your packet is a copy of an MOU. The facility use agreement is not in there. That would establish a partnership with UM Western and BCHS to allow Western the opportunity to teach their adult education welding class. Obviously, I would like to have the final copy of that in there. Obviously, we're racing down the clock in terms of what that looks like to be able to do that. I believe that unless there was any significant changes, I would bring to the board and would probably have to have a special meeting if it was even through Zoom or those different types of things to do that. But unless there was a significant change, I would ask that you approve or give us the ability to approve that MOU.
I saw move against their ability to CHS.
Been moved and seconded to approve the MOU for UMW BCHS partnership for the welding program. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Board approval to allow Mr. Millimaki the flexibility to change his vote at the annual meeting. During his report, Mr. Millimaki provided you guys with a list of proposals for this year's MHSA annual meeting and his recommendation for each proposal. At this time, I would ask that you allow Mr. Millimaki the flexibility to change his vote should he be provided additional information at the annual meeting that he feels would warrant a change in his initial recommended vote.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Give Mr. Millimaki the authority to change his vote at the MHSA annual meeting. Any questions or discussion? Once again, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is unanimously.
9.4 board consideration to approve Mrs. Van Slyke's request to travel out of state with students to attend the barbershop conference in Rexburg, Idaho. Again, she was here to ask you to do that. I believe that travel is, I put it in there, February 28th or something. That's what it is. So I would recommend you approve that out of state travel barbershop.
Seconded to allow Mrs. Van Slyke's barbershop quartet group to go to the conference in Rexburg on February 28th. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Oh, is it the whole fire? Okay.
The barbershop conference.
Oh, the barbershop conference, got it. Okay, thank you, please.
Board 9.25, board consideration to approve Ms. Van Slyke and Mrs. Rafferty's request to travel out of state to Spokane to attend the All Northwest. So I'm recommending that you approve the out of state travel request made by Mrs. Van Slyke and Mrs. Rafferty to attend All Northwest in Spokane, Washington, for students.
So moved.
Second.
I think we're a big toll. He doesn't have a name in it.
Moved and seconded to approve Ms. Van Slyke and Mrs. Rafferty's request to travel out of state to attend All Northwest. Any discussion or questions? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Anyone have anything else? Need to remember to put January 28th on your agenda and February 5th is the second. And anything to the students, Casey? Nothing? Mrs. Rafferty, anything from the teachers' side? Kelly?
Sorry. Oh, no, that's okay.
Casey, anything, any questions?
No.
Okay, you were quiet tonight. Okay, if not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn and our next regular meeting will be February 10th.
So move. Second.
Second, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Be looking for the questions that Andrew Van Slyke will be sending in. Bill.